I used to work with this French woman, a coworker, at a previous job. And in all the time I knew her, she basically never did her nails. Like, never. Just not her thing. Then at some point, she went home to France for a trip, and when she came back to the office, she had red nails. Now, here's why that tiny detail even registered with me. I already had this picture in my head of the iconic French look. You probably have it too. Red nails, wearing all black, hair that somehow looks effortless, and a small, soft, slouchy bag. The kind of look you can spot outside of France, same as a striped sweater, or a sweater tied around the neck by the sleeves. So when my coworker, who never does her nails, came back from France with red nails, that picture suddenly had a real person in it, someone I actually knew. And I remember thinking, that's pretty interesting. It must be that women in France just do red nails. It's like a thing. I mean, I did catch myself. Who knows? Maybe she just attended a wedding and had to get her nails done. People get their nails done for weddings. That happens everywhere. But the curiosity lingered, you know? Red nail polish somehow has this status, part of a whole national look. Nail polish. I wonder how that happened. How does a color on your nails become such a French thing? And then there's the question underneath. Is there one correct red? Some exact shade that makes it the French look? Or would any red do? I wonder if all French girls and women know what's the right red and what isn't. The first real answer I found came from one very put-together French woman, Julie de Libran. She's a fashion designer. At the time of this story, she was running Sonia Rykiel, the Paris fashion house. So, 2016, Vogue is having drinks with her at the Mercer, a hotel in Soho, and mid-conversation, she starts digging through her leather pouch. There's Sicily eye coal in there, La Mer balm, and then she pulls out a small metal tin of Japanese nail oils and announces, "I have the best nail trick." And she has actual rules. She told Vogue, "French women are very attentive to their hands. For her, that means a proper manicure every 10 days. When she's organized," she says. One solid color, on short nails, usually nude or red. And nails should be either bare or really perfect. Nothing in between. Then she says where the red comes from. She grew up with her mother always wearing a red nail. She remembers it as so sexy and feminine. To her, that was just what elegance looked like. And that's the thing. It sounds like a code. But up close, it's a mom. One specific mom remembered by her daughter. Vogue filed it under French Girl Secrets. Really, it's one family's red, passed down. But red nails being classy in France, that turns out to be more recent than I assumed. The oldest thing I found about red nails there is a newspaper column from 1929. Le Temps, a big, serious Paris daily. Red polish was pretty new in France then, and whoever wrote this column had clearly been seeing it around town and could not stand it. Red nails, the paper said, don't make you think of rubies. Not coral either. What they make you think of is de pauvres petits moignons, poor little stumps, fresh from the surgeon's knife. And it kept going. You couldn't see those fingers resting on a tablecloth without trembling in horror and pity. The column even asked, in print in a real newspaper, have these tender fingers been crushed in a car door? A car door. Part of the panic was about who wore red first. It arrived in France on the hands of courtesans and the flashier society women. The color came with a reputation. And the scolding went on all through the 30s. Now here's the twist inside all that. While a newspaper was gagging at painted nails, the fashion side of Paris already loved this exact color family. Apparently, back in 1926, Vogue was describing one of Chanel's house shades, a garnet like the inside of a black cherry. And the name people used for that shade? Rouge noir, red-black. So somewhere between then and now, the whole thing flipped, scandal to classic. I never found the exact moment it flipped, but I did find France's most famous red, and its story is nothing like what I pictured. The famous bottle is called Rouge Noir. Yes, that name again, 70 years later. Here's how it finally ended up on nails. Paris, 1994. Chanel is a couple of days out from its autumn-winter show. This is the Karl Lagerfeld era. And in the makeup studio, there are two people who matter for this story: Heidi Moravec and Dominique Moncourtois. Moravec had seen a photograph somewhere, in a magazine, I think, in black and white. And you know how black and white photos work. Anything with deep color just goes dark. In this picture, the eyes and the nails read as black. Moravec loved that. She wanted nails that looked like that in real life. Not actual black. A red so dark, so deep, that it's almost black. One problem. That color didn't exist, and the show was in about 2 days. So they made it themselves. Dark red pigment, black pigment, mixed by hand, in a kitchen, by her own telling. 2 makeup directors at one of the biggest fashion houses on earth, stirring nail polish like a sauce. Did it work? Well, the backstage manicurist took one look at their homemade batch and said, "What is this terrible quality that you're giving me here?" Which, fair. It was 2 people mixing pigments by hand. So the mixture went off to a real laboratory, and the lab turned it into something you could actually paint on nails. Now, the timeline wobbles a little depending on who's telling it. Moravec remembered a kitchen, 2 days out. Other versions say backstage, the night before the show. Either way, everyone agrees on the shape of the thing. A rush job, and the first batch was bad. But the color? The color was a hit. The nails went down the runway, and journalists started asking, what is that? What's the dark color? And here's where it gets a little absurd. The American side of Chanel heard the buzz and moved fast. They put the shade on counters in the United States under the name Vamp. Before Paris, before France got it at all. This deep French red made for a Chanel runway in Paris, and Americans could buy it first. And they bought a lot of it. A Chanel executive told the trade press it sold 4 times more than any nail color they'd ever made, out of stock in 2 weeks. At one point, there was a waiting list of 1,000 people for nail polish. France finally got the shade in the spring of 1995 under the old house name, Rouge Noir. Oh, and there's a myth in here, too. The story you'll hear is that Vamp took off because Uma Thurman wore it in Pulp Fiction. Great story, except the timing doesn't really work. The movie was shot in late 1993, months before this color existed. Whatever she had on her nails, it wasn't Vamp. People saw dark red nails in a cool movie, and the legend just filled itself in. And that move felt very familiar. It's what I did with one manicure at the office. So that's the famous red. But even the famous bottle can't tell you the thing I actually wondered about. Whether it's right on you. I have Asian olive skin, and sometimes a bright orangey red just looks better on me than a blue red. With lipstick, it's not even close. So even for me, red has never been one color. And it made me wonder about other people, too. There are people with all sorts of different skin colors in France. I wonder what they do with the classic French red nail look. The best expert take I found came from a guy named Tom Bocek. He's the nail artist who does the red carpet at Cannes, movie stars, big fashion moments. Vogue France asked him, "How do you choose the red an actress is going to wear?" And his answer had nothing to do with nationality or one magic bottle. He looks at everything: her skin, the dress, and especially the makeup. He likes lips and nails in the same color family, at different intensities. A deep burgundy mouth, say, and a brighter ruby red on the nails. Even at the very top of this world, there is no one right red. The right red gets assembled on one person for one look, one time. And then there's what happens when nothing on the shelf fits you at all. A French founder named Kéline Giquet did her homework before launching her own beauty brand. She interviewed nearly 200 Afro-French women, and the same answers kept coming back. I don't see myself in these brands. I can't find shades that correspond to me. She went and built her own. It's called Mélassie, from mélanine and legacy, and she started with lipstick. Now, that's makeup, not nail polish, but it lands right on the deeper thing hiding inside my question. When people say the right red, right for whom? There's one more person I have to tell you about. A nail artist in Paris named Inès Ould-Cassi. When a new client contacts her, she doesn't start by asking what color they want. She asks them to send her things. Music they love, a film, a dish, photos of landscapes, of objects, of clothes, anything that inspires them. And she builds the nails out of all that, the colors, the textures, sometimes tiny sculpted pieces, little 3D details. Nails designed from your own life, basically. And she has this line about the classics, the French manicure, the plain red polish. Nail art isn't just that anymore, she says. Il y a tellement de manières de se reconnaître. There are so many ways to recognize yourself. And yeah, I started this whole thing wanting a rule, one correct red that every French woman secretly knows. Instead, the closest I got to an answer is a nail artist in Paris asking people what music they listen to. Red is still around, of course, still classic, still very French. It's just one of the ways. As for my coworker, I never asked her. Maybe it really was a wedding. Maybe red is just what she does when she's home in France. Anyway, just a short one today, a little detour into red. Et voilà! A tiny curiosity about France today. À la prochaine fois!